What's some advice you've given her? And what?
I love her. I love the way Caitlin Clark is playing.
Caitlin Clark, the latest.
Caitlin Clark just dropped 31 points on the Chicago Sky, but that's not even the craziest part. The Indiana Fever, once sitting at 1-8, are now 16-16. How did Clark turn this team around so fast? And why are other WNBA teams freaking out? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You've seen the highlights, but Clark's real story goes deeper than the stats.
Ball moves around until it gets back in the hand.
Extended run from the end of the first quarter. Clark again.
Rachel Banham going, that's one way.
Count the packet.
What pushed this college superstar to the brink of frustration in her first pro games? The answer might surprise you, and it's got other teams scrambling. Let's talk about Caitlin Clark's journey from rookie to rising star. It's a story of grit, growth, and game-changing performances that's shaking up the WNBA. But it didn't start with a bang. No, Clark and the Indiana Fever kicked off the season with a rough 1-8 record. That's the kind of start that can break a rookie's spirit, but not Clark's.
They've had to work to get to the 9. 38%. Caitlin Clark, another three-pointer! Underneath the basket, the Shields and Clark.
Imagine going from being the big fish in the college pond to feeling like you're drowning in the pro league. That's exactly what Clark faced. In her own words, "It was not fun, I was frustrated." The transition from college to pro ball hit her hard, and she wasn't shy about admitting it. But here's where it gets interesting. Clark didn't just sit in her frustration. She saw the bigger picture. I know there's going to be moments where we look back on this and be like, this 1-8 start is going to help us somewhere down the line. That's not just optimism, that's the mindset of a future star. And boy, was she right. Fast forward to now, and the Fever are sitting pretty with a 16-16 record.
It's hard. Here's Clark. For 29 points, gets tripped up. Season. And an enemy, supposed to be enemy territory, but
that's not just an improvement, that's a total turnaround. We're talking about a team that went from the bottom of the barrel to fighting for a playoff spot, and at the center of it all, you guessed it, Caitlin Clark. But how did she do it? How did Clark go from frustrated rookie to potential rookie of the year? It's all about growth, baby. Clark didn't just adapt to the pro game. She's starting to dominate it. Her performance against the Chicago Sky is proof of that. Remember those 31 points, 12 assists, and 4 rebounds we talked about earlier? That's not just a good game, that's a statement. Clark's not just playing well, she's playing with confidence. She's making the kind of plays that have veteran players looking over their shoulders. And it's not just about the numbers. Clark's bringing a whole new energy to the Fever. She's got that rare ability to make everyone around her better. When she's on the court, the whole team seems to play with more swagger, more confidence. But here's the real kicker. Clark's just getting started. This isn't her peak. This is her warm-up. She's learning, she's growing, and she's getting better with every game. That's what's got other WNBA teams sweating. They're not just worried about Clark now, they're worried about what she's going to become. While Clark's individual brilliance is clear, something bigger is brewing in Indiana. What unseen force is transforming the Fever from a struggling squad to a cohesive unit? The answer might surprise you, and it's making waves across the league. You might think it's all about Clark's stats, but there's a secret weapon the Fever's wielding that's more powerful than any number on a score sheet. It's team chemistry, and it's turning the Fever into a force to be reckoned with. Clark's not shy about spilling the beans on this. She's been talking up how the Fever players have been getting to know each other, both on and off the court. But this isn't just about team bonding exercises or group outings. No, this is about creating a connection that translates directly into on-court magic. Think about it. How often have you seen a team where players just seem to know where their teammates are going to be? Where passes find their mark without a word being spoken? That's exactly what Clark's describing when she talks about the Fever's unspoken communication during games. But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark's not just talking about feeling good or having fun with her teammates. She's talking about results. The kind of results that have other WNBA teams breaking out in a cold sweat. Remember that game against the Chicago Sky, the one where Clark dropped 31 points and dished out 12 assists? Well, according to Clark, that game felt smooth. Not just good, not just successful, but smooth, like everything was clicking into place without effort. And it's not just Clark feeling it, she's made it clear that this chemistry is something everyone can see. In her own words, we've already established what our chemistry is and how we want to play. That's not just confidence, that's a warning shot to the rest of the league. But let's break this down a bit more. What does this chemistry actually look like on the court? Well, for starters, it's showing up in the Fever's improved offense. We're talking about a team that knocked down 13 of 29 three-point attempts in that game against the Sky. That's not just good shooting, that's the kind of performance that comes from knowing exactly where your teammates are going to be and when they're going to be open. And it's not just about the flashy plays or the highlight reel moments. This chemistry is showing up in the little things too, the way players move without the ball, the timing of screens, the split-second decisions that can make or break a possession. All of these things are improving because the Fever players are learning each other's tendencies and preferences. Clark's been quick to point out that this didn't happen overnight. It's the result of time spent together, of learning each other's playing styles. But the payoff? It's huge. We're seeing a Fever team that's not just playing better, but playing smarter. So what does this mean for the rest of the WNBA? Well, it's not good news. The Fever aren't just relying on Clark's individual brilliance anymore. They're becoming a well-oiled machine, a team that's greater than the sum of its parts. And that's a scary proposition for any opponent. The Fever's transformation is turning heads, but it's also turning tables. As Indiana climbs the ranks, another team is in free fall. 6 straight losses have left them reeling, and their playoff hopes hanging by a thread. Which team is feeling the heat, and can they stop the slide before it's too late? You guessed it, we're talking about the Chicago Sky. Once a powerhouse in the WNBA, they're now struggling to keep their heads above water. And it's not just because of their losing streak, it's because of what Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are doing to shake up the entire league. Let's break it down. The Sky's 6-game losing streak isn't just a bad patch, it's a full-blown crisis that's putting their playoff positioning in serious jeopardy. Meanwhile, the Fever are riding high on their newfound success, and it's all thanks to Clark's game-changing performances. Remember that game against the Sky we talked about earlier? Clark didn't just play well, she put on a show that's got the whole league talking. We're talking 31 points, 12 assists, and 4 rebounds. But it's not just about the numbers, it's about what those numbers mean for the Fever's playoff chances. Clark herself put it best when she said this was a big one for us. It almost counts towards 2 when you're in the playoff race. She's not just thinking about individual games anymore. She's got her eyes on the bigger prize, and that's what's got other teams in the league sweating. But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark's not just playing well, she's playing with a confidence that's borderline cocky. And you know what? She's earned it. After the game, she was seen pointing at the scoreboard, playfully interacting with fans. This isn't just a rookie finding her feet anymore. This is a star who knows she's arrived. And that confidence is spreading through the entire Fever team. Clark's words say it all. We're just tough to guard. We're playing fluid basketball. That's not just talk, that's a warning to every other team in the league. The Fever aren't just winning games, they're changing the way the game is played. Think about what this means for the rest of the WNBA. Teams that were once considered powerhouses are now looking over their shoulders. Playoff positions that seemed secure are now up for grabs. And at the center of it all is Caitlin Clark, a rookie who's playing like a seasoned veteran. But it's not just about Clark, it's about what she represents. She's the face of a new generation of players who are bringing a fresh energy to the league. They're not content with the status quo, they're here to shake things up, and they're doing it in style. So what does this mean for the future of the WNBA? Well, if Clark and the Fever keep this up, we could be looking at a whole new landscape. Teams that were once at the top might find themselves struggling to keep up, and players who were once considered the face of the league might have to make room for new stars. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The season's not over yet, and there's still plenty of basketball to be played. The Sky might be down, but they're not out. And there are other teams in the league who aren't about to let Clark and the Fever have all the glory. Caitlin Clark's journey from uncertain rookie to potential WNBA game changer is nothing short of remarkable. She's transformed from a frustrated newcomer to a confident leader, reshaping the Indiana Fever's fortunes along the way. But here's the kicker, Clark's not done yet, she's just getting started. With each game, she's not just improving her own skills, she's elevating the entire team. As Clark puts it, I'm just really thankful for my teammates that stuck with me. That gratitude is fueling a performance that's turning heads across the league. And Clark's impact goes beyond stats. She's bringing a new energy, a new style of play that's making waves. She's not just changing games, she's changing the entire WNBA, and this is just the beginning. As Clark continues to rise, one question remains: who's going to stop her?